My son Derek and his wife Vanessa left for a business trip, asking me to watch her mother, who everyone thought was in a coma from a bad fall. The second their car left the driveway, her eyes popped wide open and she grabbed my arm so tight it hurt. What she told me next made my whole body go cold. "I'm so happy you're here with me today. Please follow along until the very end and write down what state you're watching from so I can see where my story travels." At 62 years old, I never thought I'd learn that the people closest to me were hiding terrible secrets. Derek had always kept me at arm's length, even when he was little. But I always told myself that some kids just aren't huggy and close. That's just how they are, right? I spent years believing that lie, especially after he married Vanessa 2 years ago. When Derek rang me up last Monday afternoon, his voice sounded like he was reading from a card instead of talking to his mother. "Ma, Vanessa and I have to fly to Miami for work. Her mom had another bad spell and we can't just leave her by herself." Patricia had been lying still as a stone for 7 months, ever since she tumbled down the stairs at her old apartment and hit her head really hard. The doctors said her brain got badly hurt. The sweet lady just stayed in the special bed they put in Derek's spare bedroom, with tubes helping her breathe and beeping machines all around. She never moved or opened her eyes or anything. "Sure honey, I'll be right there," I said, even though something about how he asked made my tummy feel funny. "How many days will you be gone?" "Maybe 3 days, could be 4, he answered. Then he stopped talking for a second. "The home nurse comes in the morning and evening to check on her and give her medicine. You just need to stay in case something goes wrong." I should have asked him more questions right then. I should have wondered why they didn't just pay someone to stay there all day and night if Patricia really needed someone watching her constantly. But I felt so glad that Derek needed me to help with something that I pushed away the worried feelings in my head. On Wednesday morning, I showed up at Derek's big house across town with my little suitcase. That house always made me feel uncomfortable even though everything in it cost a lot of money and looked pretty. Vanessa met me at the front steps wearing her fake smile. The kind that doesn't make her eyes look happy at all. "Oh, thank you so much for coming, Margaret," she said in a voice that sounded like she practiced it in the mirror. "Mom has been really quiet lately. The doctors tell us she's doing okay for now, but we just can't leave her alone even for a minute." Derek walked up behind her, already looking at his fancy watch. "We need to leave in 2 hours to catch our plane. The nurse, Miss Chen, comes at 8 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon every single day. All her pills and stuff are lined up in the kitchen with labels." I followed them down the hallway to the extra bedroom where Patricia was lying so still in the hospital bed. Machines made soft beeping sounds, watching her heart and how she was breathing. Her gray hair was brushed nice and neat and someone had put light pink color on her lips. She looked peaceful, like she was just sleeping really deeply. "She hasn't moved or made any sounds in so many months," Vanessa whispered as we stood next to the bed. "Sometimes I talk to her and hope she can hear me somewhere inside her head, but the doctors say she probably doesn't know anything anymore." The way Vanessa said those words made me look at her face more carefully. Her eyes looked mean when she stared down at her own mother, and that didn't match the worried sound in her voice at all. Derek kissed my cheek really quick without really meaning it. "We'll call you tonight to see how everything's going. All the important phone numbers are stuck on the fridge." Then they were rushing out, pulling their expensive suitcases across the shiny floor, and the big front door closed with a click that sounded scary somehow. I stood there in the empty hallway for a minute, listening to how quiet the house was. The only sounds were the beeping machines coming from Patricia's room. I walked back to check on her, fixing the blanket that had moved a little bit. I reached over to touch her forehead gently. Right when my hand touched her skin, Patricia's eyes flew open. I jumped back so fast I almost fell over. My heart started beating so hard and fast it hurt. Her green eyes looked right at me and they were awake and sharp and seeing everything. "Thank goodness you're here," she said in a scratchy whisper, but definitely awake and talking. I was starting to worry they'd never leave us alone. All the blood in my body felt like it disappeared. "Patricia, you're awake and talking." She tried to push herself up a little and made a face like it hurt. "Please help me sit up. I've been lying frozen like this for so long that my whole body aches and hurts everywhere." My hands were shaking as I helped put more pillows behind her back. My brain couldn't understand what was happening. But the doctors said Derek and Vanessa said you were in a coma and couldn't wake up. Patricia made a sad, angry laugh that sounded like she'd been hurt really badly. Oh, Margaret, there's so much you don't know about what's really going on here. She grabbed my hand hard. They want everyone to think I'm in a coma because that's what they need people to believe so their plan works. I don't understand what you mean, I whispered, sitting down hard in the chair. Patricia's eyes got wet with tears, but her voice stayed strong. They've been putting drugs in me, Margaret. Every single day, sometimes 2 times, Vanessa sticks needles in me with medicine that knocks me out cold. She tells everyone the shots are from my brain doctor, but they're not real medicine. They're poison to keep me asleep. The whole room felt like it was spinning around and around. That can't be true. Why would they do something so awful? Because, Patricia said so quietly I could barely hear her. They're taking all my money and everything I own. They need me to stay knocked out so I can't tell anyone or stop them from stealing. I stared at her with my mouth hanging open. My heart was pounding like drums in my ears. What do you mean taking your money? Patricia closed her eyes like she was trying to be strong. My bank money, my savings, my house up in Boston. They've been writing my name on papers when I couldn't, pretending I said they could have my money while I was supposedly asleep. They already moved $300,000 out of my retirement account. The big number hit me like someone punched me in the stomach. $300,000. But Derek would never do that. He's my boy. Your son, Patricia said in a kind voice but serious, is not the good person you think he is. And Vanessa, her voice got hard and cold, Vanessa is pure evil. I felt sick to my stomach like I might throw up. How do you know all this if they keep giving you drugs to stay asleep? Because sometimes I can fight the medicine just enough to hear them talking near me. They think I'm completely gone and can't hear anything, so they don't even bother leaving the room when they talk about their evil plans. Patricia squeezed my hand tighter. 2 weeks ago, I heard Vanessa on her phone laughing about how easy this has been. She told someone that the hardest part was pretending to cry at the hospital when the doctors talked to her. The room felt like the walls were pushing in on me. This can't be real. This has to be a bad dream. It gets even worse, Patricia whispered, and something in how she said it made me feel frozen like ice. They don't plan to keep doing this forever. I heard them fighting about when to let me naturally die. Those terrible words just hung in the air between us. I couldn't breathe right, couldn't think, couldn't believe what she was telling me. They want to kill you, I said, and the words felt wrong coming out of my mouth. Patricia nodded her head slowly up and down. And Margaret, I think you might be in danger too. The silence after Patricia said that felt so loud it hurt my ears. I sat frozen in that chair, staring at this woman everyone thought was asleep, trying to make sense of what felt like the worst nightmare ever. What do you mean I might be in danger too? My voice came out so quiet. Patricia struggled to sit up straighter, and I moved to help her even though my hands were shaking like leaves. You're here as their proof, Margaret. The sweet grandmother taking care of her son's poor sick mother-in-law because she's such a good person. When something bad happens to me, you'll be the one who tells everyone that I never woke up or showed any signs of being awake. The meaning of her words hit me like a truck. They're using me. They're using both of us. That's exactly right. Patricia's voice had so much pain in it. But you can still get out of this alive. Can't. I stood up fast and walked to the window. Outside everything looked so normal and regular. Kids playing in yards, people walking dogs. How could such bad things be happening in a world that looks so nice and peaceful? Tell me everything from the very beginning, I said, turning back to look at her. Patricia took a big shaky breath. The fall down the stairs really happened. I really was knocked out for about a week in the hospital. But when I started waking up and getting better, when doctors talked about me getting therapy and going home eventually, Vanessa convinced them I was getting worse instead of better. She told them I was confused and angry and sometimes tried to hurt people. Were you acting like that? No, never. But she was there every single time the doctors wanted to talk about me. She played the part of the tired, loving daughter so well. She made them believe that bringing me to their house was the nicest thing to do instead of keeping me in the hospital. Patricia's laugh sounded empty and sad. The doctors thought they were helping a family take care of someone they loved. I sat back down because my legs felt too weak to hold me up. And Derek, does he know what she's doing? Patricia's face got dark and angry looking. Oh, he knows everything. He's the one who thought up the idea to fake my signature on all the papers. Vanessa handles the medicine and keeping me drugged, but Derek is the smart one behind all the money stealing. The word stealing made my stomach feel awful. My son, the baby boy I raised and sang songs to and worried about when he got hurt or sad, was a thief and a criminal. How long has this been going on? The drugging started about 4 months ago. At first it was just light medicine that supposedly helped calm me down. But little by little the drugs got stronger and stronger. Some days I'd be knocked out and asleep for 20 hours straight. Patricia's voice got stronger as she talked, like telling the truth was making her powerful again. The money stealing started right after they brought me to this house from the hospital. Small amounts at first, just a few thousand here and there to test if anyone would notice. But when they saw how easy it was, they got greedier and greedier. How much money have they taken? Last month when I was awake enough to hear a phone call, they'd moved almost $500,000 from my different bank accounts. My house in Boston is being sold right now even though I never signed any papers saying they could sell it. They faked my signature using some legal trick about taking care of family members who can't think straight. $500,000. That number made my head spin. I thought about Derek's expensive car, the work they did to make this house fancier, Vanessa's designer purses and jewelry. I figured Derek's business job was going really well. But now I knew where the money really came from. The nurse who comes 2 times every day, I said suddenly, Miss Chen, is she part of this? Patricia shook her head no. She's a real nurse who doesn't know what's happening. But Vanessa is very smart about timing. She gives me the strongest drugs about an hour before each nurse visit. Miss Chen has only ever seen me completely knocked out and asleep. She has no idea I can wake up. What about all the machines? The beeping monitors. They're real machines but they're not connected to any hospital computer system. They just watch my heart and breathing. As long as my heart beats and I breathe, everything looks normal to anyone who doesn't know the truth. I felt chills run down my back. You said they're planning to let you naturally die. What does that mean exactly? Patricia was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady even though tears ran down her face. I heard them talking about it 3 weeks ago. Vanessa was looking up on the internet how to slowly give more and more drugs to make someone stop breathing. She found websites talking about how certain medicine mixed together can make it look like natural problems in coma patients. The room felt like it was spinning in circles. They're planning to murder you and make it look normal. Yes, and they're going to make it seem like a sad but expected thing. The family tried so hard to save her, but sometimes people just die anyway. Patricia wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Vanessa has already started telling Miss Chen that my breathing sounds worse lately, that my skin color doesn't look right. She's getting everything ready. I jumped up again because I couldn't sit still. We have to call the police right now. We have to make this stop. With what proof? Patricia asked gently. It's just my word against theirs. All the hospital papers support their story. The money transfers were all done with fake signatures that look real. And I'm supposed to be in a coma where I can't think or talk. But you're awake now. You can tell them what really happened. Can I? Or am I just a confused old lady with a hurt brain making up crazy stories about her nice family? Patricia's voice sounded like someone who had thought about this a million times. Vanessa was very careful to create fake records showing that my brain was getting worse and worse. She even had doctors write down that I have memory problems based on lies she told them about how I acted. How much time do you think we have before they do it? Based on what I heard them say, they plan to start the final killing part when they get back from this trip. They wanted me to have a few peaceful days with loving family before the tragic sudden turn for the worse. Patricia looked at me with eyes that were both scared and determined. They needed someone to watch who could tell everyone about my peaceful last days. That's your job in their plan. Understanding crashed over me like a giant wave. They didn't ask me to come help because they needed me. They needed someone to be their alibi. Perfect alibi too. Derek's devoted mother who loves his wife's family enough to give up her own comfort to help take care of an unconscious woman. Who better to promise that they were dedicated and sad when Patricia finally died from her injuries? Felt like I might be sick. All those times Derek called me over the last few months, asking how I was, if I needed anything, I thought he was finally getting closer to me and caring about me. He was keeping track of you, making sure you were dependable and wouldn't suspect anything wrong. Patricia's voice was gentle but honest. I'm sorry, Margaret, but your son has been tricking you just as much as he's been tricking everyone else. The last bit of hope I had been holding on to broke into pieces. Derek didn't need me. He didn't love me. He was using me as someone who didn't know she was helping with murder. What are we going to do? I whispered. Patricia grabbed my hand again, her eyes burning bright with fierce determination I didn't expect. We're going to beat them at their own evil game. Over the next many hours, Patricia told me things that made my blood feel cold as ice. We talked in whispers even though we were alone, like the walls might hear us and tell Derek and Vanessa our secrets. The first time I knew something was really wrong was about 5 months ago, Patricia started, her voice getting stronger as she shared her story. I was starting to feel more like my normal self after the fall. The therapy was helping and I was remembering things more clearly. That's when Vanessa started telling the doctors I was having bad episodes. What kind of episodes? She said I would get violent and mean when she tried to help me with simple things like eating or getting dressed. She said I didn't recognize her, that I would scream and try to hit her. She even showed up to a doctor meeting with scratch marks on her arms. Patricia's voice was full of disgust. Scratches she made on herself to frame me. I felt sick imagining the acting performance Vanessa must have done. And the doctors believed her lies. Why wouldn't they? She was the exhausted daughter taking care of a hurt mother. She would cry during appointments, talking about how heartbreaking it was to see me so confused and angry. She even brought Derek to one visit to back up her lies. What did Derek say? Patricia's face got hard. He played his part perfectly. He talked about how difficult this was for Vanessa, how worried he was about her mental health from all the stress. He suggested that maybe medicine could help calm my supposed aggression so Vanessa could take better care of me. The planned way they lied was amazing in a terrible way. So the doctors gave you calming medicine. First, yes, gentle stuff. But Vanessa kept reporting that it wasn't working. She said I was getting worse, more violent, more confused. Every visit she painted a picture of a woman going crazy. Patricia stopped and closed her eyes like the memory hurt. The doctors started giving stronger and stronger medicine. That's when Vanessa began making her own shots. What do you mean her own shots? She would show the doctors the medicine bottles, let them see she was following their instructions. But she was also adding her own drugs, medicine she was getting from somewhere else. Patricia's voice dropped low. I think she has connections from her old job. Old job. She used to work at a nursing home for old people. She got fired about 6 years ago, though Derek never told me why. I found out later from a friend that there was some kind of investigation about patient medicines going missing, but they couldn't prove she took them. The pieces were coming together to make a picture so dark I could barely look at it. She's done this before to other people. Think so. And I think that's how she and Derek really met. Not at the bookstore like they told everyone, but through some connection to her work with helpless old patients. Patricia moved uncomfortably in the bed. Derek has always wanted easy money without working hard, even as a teenager. Remember when he got in trouble for selling answers to tests in high school? I did remember even though I tried to forget. Derek had been kicked out of school for a week, and I spent hours at the principal's office making excuses for him. I thought he grew out of that phase. He didn't grow out of anything. He just got better at hiding his true self. Patricia's voice was filled with sadness that went beyond her own situation. Margaret, I need you to understand something important. This isn't just about money for them. They enjoy doing this. The control, the lying, the power they have over someone helpless. What do you mean they enjoy it? Sometimes when they think I'm completely unconscious, they talk to me anyway. Vanessa will lean over my bed and whisper mean things about how pathetic I am, How nobody will miss me when I'm gone. Derek talks about all the fancy things they'll buy with my money, the vacations they'll take. Patricia's voice shook a little. They've turned my suffering into their entertainment. I felt anger building in my chest, hot and fierce like fire. Those monsters. Last week when they thought I was deeply drugged, I heard them talking about their timeline. They want to finish this before Christmas because they already booked a fancy cruise ship vacation. They're using my money to pay for it and they want me dead so they can enjoy it without worrying. Cruise vacation. The casual way they were planning to celebrate her murder made me feel physically sick. $20,000 for a 6-week luxury cruise around the world. They already paid the deposit. Patricia looked straight at me. They're planning to be sad family members who need time to heal from their tragic loss. The boldness of it was breathtaking. How do you know all these tiny details? Because they're not as careful as they think they are. When you believe someone is unconscious and can't hear, you stop watching how loud you talk. And when you're excited about your evil plans, you share details. Patricia managed a small weak smile. They've basically confessed their whole plan to me over the last few months without knowing I could hear. What exactly is their plan step by step? Patricia took a deep breath like she was preparing herself to relive the scariest parts. Starting when they come back from Miami, Vanessa is going to be